Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about A Blood as Bright as the Moon by Andrea Morstabilini. It's the third week of October, and our spooky season programming continues apace with this literary horror fantasy about a cult of vampires living in an abandoned castle in Central Europe. Now, don't call them vampires, they wouldn't like that. They prefer Moonkin. They have this nocturnal sort of system of living. They have this devotion to King Ludwig the Mad, the Prince of Bavaria who created the castle of Neuschwanstein, this famous fairy tale, icing on a cake kind of castle, and this sort of refined aesthetic. This sort of over-the-top, we're swans and beauty and listening to Wagner and Automata and all of that sort of, 19th century effete elitism. And they have this plan that they will construct wings and use those wings to fly to the moon where their king has a palace waiting for them. And things sort of get complicated from there. It's the story of Ambrose, a member of this vampiric sort of family cult, small group, as he sort of grapples with his doubts about these legends around the king and his attachments to the sort of more ordinary world, to the men that he has as lovers in the village around their abandoned castle, and just to his sense of being a part of the world. And then we sort of go from there, and I don't want to say too much, because it is a book that takes some really exciting twists and turns along the way, and ended up surprising me a great deal in really lovely and satisfying ways. It's a novel that is sensual. It's a novel that is emotionally mature in a way that feels really uncommon, and so all the more delicious for it. I like that Ambrose, while he is young and youngish, he presents as someone who's, in his mid-30s maybe, and possibly quite older. We're sort of ambiguous on his actual age, which is an uncommon thing in a protagonist, and especially an uncommon thing in a protagonist who is a queer male. It's got this wonderful sort of casual and also devoted quality to its approach to relationships, to intimate relationships that are both platonic and romantic or sexual. It's just really sort of one of those books where the speculative element is just, it's there, and it could be almost, real. These could be just people without a speculative element, and then that specificity of the vampirism really kicks things up to a whole nother level. And this sort of surreal, dreamlike quality of constructing these wings to fly to the moon, and this sort of academic, professional society of vampire hunters and their ties to certain ideas around masculinity. It's just really a thoughtful and thrilling kind of book. It opens in a very gentle way, and then as we have this conspiratorial element kick up, we are, sort of brought along into new and exciting territory in a way that, for me, feels like breathing fresh life into one of those most established of genres, the vampire story. We love a good vampire story here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. Our very first book was A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. We've talked about, House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson as well. Vampires are recurring figures here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. And it's really exciting when you get to read a book where something that is familiar also feels really fresh and new and exciting. And for me, that was A Blood as Bright as the Moon. And so, of course, we had to have a drink. Our drink today is the Moonkin, which is sort of the name that these vampires have for themselves, these sort of moon-blooded. And we're going to start by getting our base spirit. Now, Morstabilini has been very helpful to me in naming a spirit in the book. I knew that there were certain things I wanted to do with this drink, and I wasn't sure what base spirit to pair that with until we had a potion with a good bit of bourbon in it. And as a Kentuckian, y'all know I always want to grab my bottle of bourbon and make a good cocktail. So, we'll get 1 ounce of bourbon whiskey into our shaker. I'm using the Agitator bourbon today. Really nice, smooth, sipping whiskey. Great on its own, great in a cocktail. We've used it before here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. And to that, we will add half an ounce of grenadine, classic pomegranate grenadine. Lovely. So you can see something rich and red coming in here. Because again, you know, it's a vampire book. We've got to play with some of these ideas. And then half an ounce of tawny port. I'm using the Carvalas here. We have one of the characters who enjoys a glass of port in the evening. It's really nice, rich, red, this sort of dried fruit, these sweet dessert wines that don't often appear in cocktails, but when they do, I really dig it. I think it's got that sort of ruby gem dried fruit quality that I just love as an extra element of depth, because this is a novel with a great deal of depth to it. So we'll get half an ounce of that port in there, and then 1 ounce of heavy cream, because these vampires are not red-blooded, they're pink-blooded. So we will get that a little pink there by lightening up our reds with that heavy cream. Then finally, a couple of dashes of Peychaud bitters. These are going to be a nice aromatic bitters, sort of baking spice notes, but a little more rosehip, anise, licorice quality to it. It's going to add, again, some depth, some complexity, and it's going to amp up that wonderful reddish pink quality that we have here. We'll get our ice. We always add our ice last, because you never know when you'll be disturbed by finding a broken snow globe outside your abandoned castle. Signals trouble. Lovely. Give that a stout tap, and strain back into our shaker, because we are going to double shake this in a reverse dry shake. When we've got that heavy cream in there, it's nice to get that extra bit of froth and foam that we can accomplish by shaking it once it's already cold. But I have just realized that I don't have a glass here in which to serve our drink, and so we're going to hit pause real quick, and I'll be back in just a moment. And we're back! Alright, so we will do our reverse dry shake now. Get that nice frosty, freezy cocktail shaken up and extra frothy foamy, like so. Nice, easy, breezy. There we go. And as you can see, there are still some little ice chips in there. That's okay. It's all good. There we go. Perfect. And you'll do that for, 10, 20 seconds. Then we'll strain into a stemmed glass our nice pink Moonkin for our moon-blooded vampires. And there you have it. This is the Moonkin, inspired by a blood as bright as the moon. A blood as bright as the moon is available now. I've got a link to snag it in the description down below. I think that as longtime viewers of Barcart Bookshelf, or new viewers, you're really going to dig this one. I had a great time with it. I think you will too. We've got links to purchase my book, Cocktails and Consoles, 75 Cocktails and Mocktails to level up your game night, including some vampire games. We've got the Lady Dimitrescu Fizz, and and a drink for Castlevania as well, inspired by life-giving apples. So lots of fun options there. We've got links to various forms of social media, including Blue Sky and Instagram, where there's always a written version of today's recipe. Try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that like button. It makes me so happy when you do. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. And until next time, cheers.